Ah, hello. Welcome to Beginning Yoga, or Yoga for Beginners, or Introduction to Yoga, or that sort of thing. I'm making this video because yoga is something that's had a very big impact in my life. And I think that it could have a big impact in a lot of people's lives. And so I wanted to share what it means to me and invite you to explore it for yourself. And throughout this video, I'll be moving around, and you're more than welcome to join me. And you can do what I do, or you can do your own thing, or you can stay sitting or doing whatever it is you're doing right now. So I'm going to be doing a mix of, visually I'll be showing poses, and verbally I'll be talking. One common misconception that a lot of people have is that yoga is for health nuts, it's for healthy people, and it couldn't be further from the truth, really. Because if you're unhealthy, then it's the perfect time to do yoga. A lot of the medications that we take have side effects, and negative side effects. And it seems like sometimes people get caught into this thing where we start going about our daily lives, and we do what's expected of us, and we do what we think we have to do, and we develop health conditions from stress, and then we take medications to deal with the symptoms, and then we keep going about the same lifestyle, the same thing, and then we have complications from the medications, and then we have to take more to counteract the side effects. Meanwhile, we keep going about our lives the same way and don't really change anything. Now, yoga is something that there's an important difference, because yoga also has side effects. And the side effects of yoga is they're positive. They're all positive side effects. And so that's what I want to show you today. I've heard, and I'm sure it's true, that there are certain ways you can bend your body that are unhealthy. Knees in particular is something you want to be careful with. There's ways to twist your knees that can be damaging, and I've heard that there's ways to twist your back that can be damaging. Of course, it's possible to pull muscles if you have an injury. Be mindful of this. But those are things to be mindful of. That's by no means a reason not to do yoga. There's always some part of your body that you can move in a healthy way. And if there's a part of you that's injured, quite often having it immobile and not moving it at all can actually further injure it and prevent it from healing properly. So, of course, follow advice from a trusted medical trusted medical counselor. Just my 2 cents would be, I like to move injuries in ways that feel like I'm activating that part. Like I have knee and injuries in my knees, the cartilage. And so I try to do things, I'm just mindful of that, and I do things that don't hurt it, but I do things that activate it. So something like this, I'm just paying attention to my knees. And if it starts to feel weird in a way that I don't think is right, then I don't do it. And if it just feels uncomfortable, sometimes things can feel uncomfortable but healthy. And one really good example of that discomfort yet healthy is bending backwards. So bending backwards is not something that our bodies are used to doing. You know, there's part of us that wants to freak out and be like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? I'm gonna fall over. It's definitely uncomfortable. But I could pay attention to the arch in my legs, hips, spine, neck. And just relax into going a little further. It's a process of relaxing. Some people can do this until they touch the ground with their hands. I'm not there yet. Oh. Oh. Right now I feel this really powerful column of energy in my spine. It feels like a steel cord just pulling my back straight. Wow, that's a really good feeling. That's a really good feeling. And this is something else that you don't need to feel like yoga is not just, okay, one movement, then another movement, then another movement. Keep moving, keep moving, keep moving, keep going. If all I did for an hour was to stand and pay attention to every part. My toes, my feet, legs, and on up. Feeling the alignment of my bones. feeling my muscles. I would become very mindful of my posture. See, a lot of us actually spend our days doing anti-yoga. We get into a slouch. As we go through life with a non-mindful attitude, we end up becoming reactive and compulsive to the energies around us. And this shapes our posture. And if you want to play with it, you can stand like this and see how that feels. See what kind of emotions you feel in that position. And breathe shallow. Personally, I feel small. I feel hidden, out of the way. Don't bother with me. And then I can try another posture. This feels more exposed. It's funny because it's almost like a contradiction. This way feels weaker and more protected, and this way feels stronger but also more vulnerable. Weird. But our energy influences the way that we stand. And the way that we stand influences our energy. So it's like a feedback. If we get into a certain mindset, then that changes our posture. And then we keep that posture, and the posture will reinforce that mindset. Whereas if we spend some time just being mindful of our posture, and being mindful of our energy, and being mindful of the way that we breathe. Is it shallow breaths? Short and shallow? Small? Are we using 10% of our lungs? Are we taking deep breaths? Filling our lungs completely and all the way out. I wonder how many people have ever listened to their own pulse. I mean, you have this heart inside of you. It's constantly pumping blood at high enough pressure to permeate every single cell in your body. There's this massive pump in your body running all the time. And most of us were completely oblivious to it. But if we stand still, or sit, or lay down, or whatever, if we're just quiet for a moment. I can actually feel my heart pumping. I can actually feel the pulse in my hands, in my head. Kind of trippy, actually. And now we're delving into the deeper parts of yoga, because we're all used to seeing, the poses like this, and a lot of lot of the Western classes tend to focus on that. It's like doing yoga poses. The poses are a very important component to yoga, but it's only one part. And depending on how far down the rabbit hole you want to go, this can be huge. I'll get back to that in a minute. Now I'm going to talk a little bit more about the stretching aspect, though. So, one very stretching is actually it's not a good term for this. So when we stretch, the word stretch, we think of something being stretched, pull it, and that will actually give us the idea of, bending down and stretch. And what you're doing is you're using muscles to pull, to force against other muscles and against tendons and against ligaments. And either you're going to pull a muscle or you're going to stretch a ligament, and it's actually not the best way to go about it. You could possibly injure yourself having that kind of approach. So rather than thinking of it as stretching, it's actually much better to call it relaxing. Now the way that it works is, the way that our bodies work is, if you ever notice a little baby, they're so loose and flexible and they can bend in any direction. And if that infant kept doing yoga every day, they would maintain most or all of that flexibility. I think they could maintain all of it, because I've seen amazing videos of incredibly flexible adults. Every bit as much as flexible as a baby. And what happens is, why do we lose that? It's because the way that our bodies are designed, for better or for worse, is our muscles develop memory. And so as we learn to sit in a chair all day at school, so sitting in a chair, this is a very common posture, very common position for most people. We can sit in a chair, we can lay down, when we're sleeping, we can stand up, and we can walk. And these are basically the three basic asanas, or yoga postures of the proper man or woman. Anything outside of that, you can do those things. If you go to the airport or the bus station or school or work, you can do any of those things, and it'll be seen as acceptable. But try going to any of those places. Get on the floor. I don't know if you can see me, but yeah. You do this. Try this position. And see what anybody says. See what kind of looks you get. If we don't do that, how often do we sit like this? Yeah, I'm not that flexible when it comes to splits. Really not at all. How often do we stand like this when we're talking on the phone or texting somebody? And it's really, we would see somebody doing that, and we would think, that person is crazy. I've done this in public places, and people have definitely looked at me like I was crazy. But if you clear your mind, if you look beyond the preconceptions that you were given, and really look at this objectively, the crazy thing is to not use your body. The crazy thing is to relegate yourself to 3 simple postures, sitting in a chair, laying down, and standing up, and think that that's going to be all you need to do for your whole life, for your whole body. That's not how your body was designed. That's not what your body wants to do. That's just, you're living in your mind, and your body is you're just treating it like it's a machine, like it's just an appliance. Like it's supposed to take me from point A to point B. It's supposed to take me to work so I can earn money. It's supposed to, yoga is a time for us to listen to our bodies. A lot of people treat yoga like it's some kind of a sacred ceremony. I don't want to talk bad about that. If yoga is, if your approach to yoga is that there's a proper way to do it, and see, I'm not doing this posture right. Officially, my heels are supposed to be on the ground, which I have to come all the way back up here to do that. And my back is supposed to be like this. But I should keep my back like that and my heels on the ground at the same time. Is the proper yoga posture, which is good. People in India spent thousands of years developing yoga postures, and there can be a lot of benefit from doing it the way that they discovered. So I definitely encourage anyone to look into the official yoga postures and do them if they feel good with you. But from my way of thinking, the essence of yoga is not just doing those postures. See, the essence of it is I'm listening to my body. And sometimes, quite often, I'll find myself doing something, basically inventing or improvising a posture that I've never done before. And it just feels, sometimes it's good to just listen and pay attention. To me, doing yoga the official way, sometimes it feels a bit like everything else in life where I'm just telling my body what to do. But personally, I really like my favorite things about yoga is it's a time for me. I have the opportunity to listen to my body. So one thing is feet. We spend a lot of time walking on our feet, running on our feet, jumping on our feet, putting tight shoes on our feet. And how often do we really take the time to, massage them, feel them? See so many nerves in your feet. So complicated with all the bones, all the tendons and everything, holding them together. And when we're stuck in shoes every single day, it's almost like we're just trying to turn our foot into a block. And then basically you might as well be walking on bricks. Just keep it, might as well just cast it in concrete. But the foot is actually a beautiful part of our body. And it likes to move around. I like to walk barefoot on the earth. And that's another weird thing that I do. But even if you don't walk barefoot in nature, you can still take time during yoga to move your foot around, move your toes, move your ankles in circles. See, these are ways that our bodies are designed to move in all these different ways. And it's really, really healthy for it to get an opportunity to move like this. So it's not just stuck in basic positions. Now, another part of yoga, and this might be the hardest part for a lot of people, is actually emotional yoga and mental yoga. The physical part, the bending, learning to relax the muscles, it's very healthy and very important. And it's only one part. Something I find when I do different postures, different positions, especially if I do it in silence without any music, then I really start feeling things. And sometimes feelings come out, and emotions, and I think this is a reason why a lot of people don't do yoga on a subconscious level, is because it increases awareness and sensitivity in ways that are uncomfortable to us. It's just like we've been trained to keep our bodies very rigid and very controlled. We've also been trained to keep our minds and our emotions very rigid and controlled. And again, it's not healthy. Essence of yoga is exploration. The visual aspect is you can see people exploring the different ways that their bodies can move. But this is connected with exploring all of our bodies. Mental body, physical body, emotional, spiritual, or energetic. If you don't like the word spiritual, you can use the word energy. As quantum physics is just breaking into, there are laws of nature which are not governed by material science. So another part of yoga is meditation. meditation is, classically, well, the way that I like to sit and do meditation like this. I was taught that you're supposed to sit on this foot and then, I can't remember what I'm supposed to do with that one, go underneath or on top or something like that. For myself, I like to try to have my legs crossed and flat. So I'll put this foot in that leg like this, and I'll try to keep my back straight, and I'll try to let my knees rest on the ground, which they don't want to do that yet. They're not flexible enough. To me, this feels like the best meditation position, and it took me a little bit of practice to do it as well as I am. It used to look more like this, and I would get tired holding myself up, and I'd want to fall backwards. So when you meditate, if this is too much for you right now, then don't do it this. You don't need to do it this way. You can start off with what you can do. You can start off, maybe put your hands behind you. You can meditate like this. Sometimes I've done that. And just see, you can take yourself to your limit of comfortable discomfort, the amount of discomfort that you're comfortable with. And stay there, and that's practice. But if you find that it's too much, sometimes if somebody is trying to meditate while they put their bodies in an uncomfortable position, they find they don't have they can't focus on two things at once, and it's too distracting. So if you want to meditate in a chair, that's perfectly fine. Don't feel like this is wrong. See, meditation is another type of yoga, and it's a type of, I want to say it's the mental aspect. Although it's difficult to compartmentalize things when they're so connected with each other. See, even then I'm sitting in a chair, what am I doing? I just sat down and I naturally started feeling my spine. And what my spine is doing, I didn't tell it to do this, I'm just letting it do what it wants, letting it move how it wants to move. It's feeling out this chair, and it's feeling out how it wants to be. And after my spine finishes moving like this, in ways that feel good, and I can begin my meditation while I'm still moving around. Of course, if I was meditating, I wouldn't be talking, I would be silent. Letting the mind relax. All my thoughts just letting them pass by. You can meditate with music. Usually I do without. You might notice that if your hands are like this, it's different when your hands are like this. Of course, classic yoga hands, like this. but I would invite you to put your hands however, even don't think about your hands. You can try different positions in order to give your hands ideas. And when it comes to meditating, then let your hands do what they will. When you fall back from the chatter in your mind, you fall back from all the talking. Oh my goodness. And so many people, it's so normal for us to be constantly filling our heads with chatter. Whether we're on our phone checking social media, or watching movies, or watching television, or talking to people. You know, have you ever been on a date and had an awkward silence, an awkward pause, and you gotta fill it up with small talk? And if we don't have some kind of external stimulation, then we'll create an internal stimulation because we're addicted to the constant stimulation. And we'll have this internal dialogue. We're constantly talking to ourselves. Oh, why'd you do that? That was awkward. Oh, well, why aren't you pretty enough? Or why aren't you smart enough? Or when are you going to get your life together? Why do you say that to this person? Or what are you going to say to this person? Or I'm so nervous about this thing that's coming up. I hope this doesn't happen. I'm so worried about that. Or I'm so worried about this person, and what am I going to do to help them? And oh, the politics. What did Donald Trump? Whew. Does it ever stop? Do we ever get a break? That's all meditation is. There was a famous philosopher who once said, "I think, therefore I am." Whoever says that obviously never meditated, because the thinking part of our mind is very closely connected with the ego part of our mind. And through all this thinking, we start to build the illusion of an identity, and we think we know who we are, and we think we know what the world is. And meditation is a sweet, sweet little break from that. You can forget about who you think you are. You can forget about what you think the world is. You can forget about everything that you think. What would happen if you did that? What would happen if you forgot about everything that you think? And you just were, and you just sat, and you just were. And you can do this in nature. You can do this in a grassy field under a tree. You can do this with birds singing. You can do this at work, in your office, in your cubicle. You can do this in your car, sitting in a red light until cars behind you start honking. You can do this. You can do this. You just let all those thoughts just relax. Just like yoga is not about pulling yourself, stretching yourself into position. What's that? It's not about forcing yourself into position. It's about letting your muscles, teaching your muscles, training your muscles, practicing letting your muscles relax into all these unfamiliar positions. And this is yoga of the mind, is meditation. It's a way of practicing letting your mind relax. Just relax. And you can see, I'm going to turn the music off for just a moment. I just feel like meditating for a minute. you're welcome to join me. Every time that you meditate, it's a practice. It's accumulative. You might start meditating 5 minutes a day. And you might think 5 minutes out of 24 hours, that's not going to make a difference. If I spend 23 hours and 55 minutes going about life the way I always have, and just 5 minutes of meditation, nothing's going to change. It's not true. If you spend 5 minutes a day meditating, it's going to open up a window in the way you see the world, in the way that you see yourself, and the way you see everything. It's just going to crack it open a little bit. And every day that you meditate, going back into that little space you're creating. After a while, you may find yourself enjoying the experience. You might find that 10 minutes of meditation isn't boring anymore. I find it fascinating. You might even find 15 minutes is not boring. And you might start to notice that your outlook on life starts to change, that your relationships with people start to change. You might notice that things that you thought were part of normal life are actually not healthy for you. You might find yourself drawing more healthy boundaries. You might find that someone who was very loving, you were taking for granted. You might find that you have issues and traumas and stress that you have been hiding from and avoiding because you didn't know what to do about it. And that deals more with the emotional yoga, which I don't feel like getting into quite yet. For me, the emotional yoga is the most difficult. And it might trigger some people. And I don't want to talk about it quite yet. So while you're meditating and focusing on the mental yoga, if the emotions start coming up, it's a good practice to observe them and don't identify with them. have a physical body. If my hand got chopped off, I would still be me. I would be me sans one hand. I identify with my body. Body is part of my identity, but it's not really properly me. Because if I lost parts of my body, I would still be me. And if I added parts to my body, if I put on a lot of weight, I would still be me. And so it is with thoughts and with emotions. I identify with my thoughts. I think I'm an American. I think this is my job. I think this is my family. I think I'm shy, or I'm confident, or what have you. And these things are part of my identity. But the truth is that if I lost something, if I lost a family member, if I lost a friendship, if I lost a job, if I lost certain ideas, if I lost my shyness, if I lost my confidence, there's still a me that's there, In a way, I'm dynamic, I'm changing because my body is changing and my thoughts are changing. And yet, there's still a me that I remember being ever since the time I was a child. And despite all the changes that I've gone through since that time. And so it goes with emotions. I've felt so many different emotions throughout my life. And sometimes we get in the habit of identifying with our emotions. It's very common for us to say, I'm angry, I'm sad, I'm frustrated. And this is a good opportunity to be mindful of our language, because if I say I'm angry, then I'm identifying with the anger, and I'm identifying myself as anger. I'm creating that identity. Is that an identity that I want to create? Do I want to create the identity that I'm angry? Or do I want to observe that this is an emotion that I'm experiencing in this moment? And I can say, I feel angry. I feel sad. Some people like to give themselves positive affirmations. They like to be positive. Positivity is a big subject with me. And I'll probably have to make a whole separate video just to unpack that. But for now, I'll just give a little something about that. If I identify myself as I'm happy, on the surface, that seems like a good thing. I'm happy. That's what I'm not angry, I'm not sad, I'm happy, that's what I am. Oh. Gives me the shivers. Because as much as I love to feel happy, I would rather feel authentic. I would rather feel honest and open to truth and open to the mystery. When I try to define myself as happy, I run the very real risk of creating a delusion for myself. And it's actually I find it personally to be a quite harmful delusion because it makes me dismissive of my other emotions. Other things like fear and anger, the negative, nasty things that nobody wants to feel. If I'm determined to be happy, then I hide all those things away in my subconscious mind. I bury them. And the truth is that they're still there. And they sort of rise from the grave as ghouls and phantoms and wreak havoc on my life. This is where we see the classical example of someone who, and we've probably all met people like this, who will not ever admit that they're wrong. They won't ever apologize or say that they're sorry. They're just so self-assured to the point of being narcissistic. And it's like they're so deathly afraid of having a negative thought about themselves that they completely avoid all negativity, which they think is positive, but I see it as the greatest it's like the strongest prison of fear. Is to think that you can't ever feel fear. To think that you can't ever feel angry. To dismiss those emotions. What are you so scared of? In my opinion, a truly positive person, a truly happy, healthy, strong person would embrace reality. If they're feeling trauma, they'll let themselves feel it. This is the beauty that I see in this story with Jesus. To consciously choose to sit with us in our suffering, to be that compassionate. And this, now I'm getting into emotional yoga. I'm here, I'm in it. I didn't plan to go here, but here I am. This is what it means to self-love. Self-love is often misunderstood. I think self-love is buying ourselves a new sports car. Self-love is dressing up, putting on nice clothes, making ourselves look good, going out and having a time. Happiness, money, a whole another huge subject is currency, money. Self-love is not about money. It's really not. That's a very common misconception. Money does not make the world go round. We are not motivated by money. Nobody really cares about money. It's a bold statement. Feel free to throw it out if you disagree. You know yourself better than I do. And I'm going to pose this idea to you. You can think what you want. The real motivating driving factor in this world is love. And so many of us don't feel like we're getting all the love that we need. Money is a collectively agreed upon imitation for love. whether it's fiat paper dollars or whether it's gold. Money is fine as a medium of exchange in an economy. If you want to use it as a medium of exchange, that's fine. I'm not saying money is intrinsically evil, but the love of money is the root of all evil, because it is an imitation of love. If I lived in a perfectly loving environment, classical example is a healthy relationship between a mother and an infant, where the mother will do literally anything for her child. Change its diapers, hold it while it's screaming in her ear, feed it. It's this helpless little screamy, yelly, poopy thing. How much would someone have to pay you to spend 24 hours a day taking care of a baby machine? How much do mothers get paid? They have to pay mothers and fathers both. A loving parent has to pay a lot for the privilege of taking care of this thing. And all the money they pay, and all the time they pay, and all the emotion they pay, it's an investment into love, and they have no idea how this child is going to turn out. Any stockbroker would think that they were crazy to invest all that. Babies can die. Children can die. They can turn out to be criminals. They can turn out to be ungrateful for everything you did for them. And yet you pour all that time and all that effort into it. This is what humans have been doing for millions of years, long before money ever existed. And not just for their own children, for children they adopt. And for children they work with. And not just for children, but for adults. When we lived in tribes, when we find ourselves in a community such as a nice neighborhood or a loving church, we find people doing things for love. And if we lived in that loving environment, we would have no need for money. We'd have no more need for money than an infant and a mother need money between each other. People would do things for us because they love us, and we would do things for others because we love them. But do we? How many of us live in that kind of society? And yet we still have needs. I need a house. Nobody loves me enough to help me build one. And I don't love anybody enough to help them build theirs. I guess I need money. I need health care. Nobody loves me enough to just treat me for free. And I don't love anybody enough for me to learn about healthcare and treat them for free. I guess we need money. Money. Nobody really likes the way that I look. I better get some money so I can buy fancy clothes so people will like the way that I look. So I can feel loved. Money. Nobody loves me enough to keep me safe. Somebody might rob my house. I need a burglar alarm. I need to spend money on security. I need a military to protect me from invaders because they don't love me. They hate me. They want my stuff. They want to take my country over. I better pay taxes. I better support this whole system which uses money to supply my needs. And as we replace love for money, we start. We get Christmas. Ah, Christmas. Christmas. Yes. Birthday presents. My parents didn't love me enough to give me presents. Really? 'Cause my parents loved me so little that all they gave me was presents. They never gave me the presents. So, on the subject of loving yourself, how do you show self-love? Do you show love to yourself and to others by giving presents? Here's a present, here's a present, here's a present. I have money, I can buy you a present to show I love you. I have money, I can buy you a present to show you I love you. If you love me, you can buy me a present to show me that you love me. Because money is the most valuable thing that I possess. Money is the most valuable thing that I have. It's the most valuable thing that I have to offer. And money is what I want most from you. Or something that can be bought with money is what I want most from you. Because this is what makes the world go round, isn't it? Money is what matters, isn't it? Presents. Presents. Now, take out the T. Presence. Presence. What if presence was what mattered? What if the most valuable thing that I could give you is this? What if you didn't want me to buy you a gift? What if you wanted me to sit beside you and listen to you? What if you wanted me to go dancing with you? What if you wanted to hang out in the kitchen and make a meal together? What if you wanted my presence more than my presence? That would mean that the most valuable thing that I have to offer is not my money. It's me. What if you valued me more than you value my money? What if I valued you more than I valued your money? What if the best birthday present was a long conversation? And deep love. When we love someone, we like them to feel happy. We feel happy when they're happy. That's why we like to cheer them up. We like to make them laugh. When they want to be cheered up and when they want to laugh. Sometimes that's not what people need. Sometimes people need to process negative things. Sometimes we feel sad. And we feel so alone when we're sad because nobody wants to see us sad. Nobody wants to see us angry. Everybody wants to see us happy. So we hide our sadness. We hide our anger. And dream of dreams. If there was someone who loved us enough to hold us when we were sad, to listen to us when we felt frustrated, to listen to us when we felt angry, yes, these are dangerous emotions. Yes, anger can be used abusively. Yes, sadness can be abused and used to guilt people into becoming our emotional dumpsters, yes. I'm not saying that sadness and anger are always healthy. Not any more than happiness is always healthy, really. These are all just feelings, and what we do with them can be healthy or not. When I love myself, I give myself my presence. And sometimes that means dancing. And on that note, I'm going to turn the music back on. On that note. Dancing is part of the routine, you know. So, I call it the high five. High five is exercise, which I haven't got to yet. Push-ups. Oh, until muscle failure. If I did push-ups till I got tired, that'd be a good thing. Isn't like that if you can. And explore all different ways. Sometimes balance, and I'm rushing through things just to give examples of different exercises. Of course, running, jogging, bicycling, swimming. Working out the core. Normally, in my routine, I don't talk at all. And I do a lot more of this kind of thing. But today was special, a special program, and so instead of doing my normal exercises, I've been spending time exploring emotional yoga and mental yoga and relationship yoga, really, because me making this video is part of me with another body. We talked about the physical, mental, emotional bodies. Another one is our environmental body. I can't function without air. The atmosphere coming into my lungs and attaching itself to my red blood cells, and that oxygen from the air spreading through my body, and then my cells releasing carbon dioxide and me expelling that through my lungs. The atmosphere. How can I possibly separate the atmosphere from my body? Really, it's inside of me. It's inside the cells. And my cells are constantly going back into the atmosphere, the carbon dioxide. The food that I eat, the waste that comes out of my body. Waste? Is it waste or is it fertilizer? How is it used? I'm part of this whole connection, and so are you. And I don't just need food and air and light and there are those parts of my environment that I need. And so that's part of my body. And I also need connection, and I need friendship, and I need community, and I need love. I need to give it, and I need to receive it. And so you, everyone, is also, they're part of my body, they're part of me, and I'm part of them. And this is another part of yoga, this is our connective body. So if I start to become more aware of the food that I eat, is it healthy? Is the water that I drink, is it clean? Is the air that I breathe, is it clean? The impact that I'm making on